Hi, this is Pastor John. I'm the senior pastor here at Chillicothe Assembly of God, and we want to take time to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Today, I'm going to be speaking out of 2 Samuel chapter 20. The title of my message is The Wise Woman. Starting in 16, it says, Then a wise woman cried out from the city, Hear, hear, please say to Joab, Come nearby that I may speak with you. When he came near the woman, she said, Are you Joab? He answered, I am. Then she said to him, Hear the words of your maidservant. And he answered, I'm listening. So she spoke, saying, These was talks in former times, saying that this shall seek guidance at Abel. And so they would end disputes. I'm among the peaceable and the faithful in Israel. You seek to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Why would you swallow up the inheritance of the Lord? And Joab answered and said, Forbid it for me that I will swallow up or destroy. That is not so. But a man from the mountains of Ephraim, Sheba, the son of Barak, by name, he raised his hand against the king, against David. Deliver him only, and I will depart from the city. So the woman said to Joab, Watch, his head will be thrown to you over the wall. Then the woman in her wisdom went to all the people, and they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Barak, and threw it to Joab. Then he blew a trumpet and withdrew from the city, every man to his tent. So Joab returned to the king of Jerusalem. The Bible tells us that this was a wise woman, but also reading this, we can tell that the city was in crisis. David was speaking to Joab before this and said Sheba must die. David's words was Sheba was worse than Absalom. So as Joab in the army was chasing down Sheba, he ran to the city of Abel. For some reason, Abel gave him refuge. They closed up the gates and reinforced the wall. So the only thing Joab knew how to do was ram the gates until he got in. So sometimes we have to put ourselves in the shoes of these people of Abel. Once you see your walls shaking from the gates being rammed or the ceiling shaking from the gates being rammed, we knew that something had to be done. And this is what the wise woman knew. Something had to be done because she knew if the walls ever collapsed, that her loved ones would be perished, her family would perish, and the innocent people in the town would perish. So she took it amongst herself to try to figure out what was going on. Sometimes in our life, when the gates of hell are just taking over and trying to ram things in our life in many different areas, we have to be just like this wise woman and try to figure out what is going on, what in our life that is need to be changed in order to stop the chaos. Now, we look at this and we can see during this time, there are probably many qualified men that could have stepped up and talked to Joab, but none did so. So this wise woman said, if no one else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. She took the responsibility to go and try to find a solution for what was happening. She took the responsibility to try to understand and make a reasonable action to Joab to see how they can work out this dispute. There's one thing she said in here that really caught my eye. She said, I am a mother in Israel. She didn't say I'm a mother to my children. She said, I'm a mother in Israel. In other words, she was taking the responsibility of the nation. And she's trying to say, I am here not to just save my city, not to just save my family, but I want to save my nation too. And this is one thing she was not waiting on anybody to do for her. She knew the men was not stepping up. So she decided that she was going to do it herself. Sometimes God is waiting on us not to allow other people to fight our battles, but try to figure out in our own lives what we need to do to order to carry on and follow the will of God. The other thing I want to point out today was she was not just responsible, but she was respectful. The wise woman was very respectful to Joab. She knew his authority that the king had sent him. She wasn't angry with him. She wasn't upset with him. She didn't talk down to him, but she talked to him very respectfully. And this is one thing that she pointed out was, I am the peaceable and faithful. Sometimes as Christians, we get the faithful part right. We can sit there and be faithful to God. We can sit there and be faithful to prayers. We can sit there and be faithful to church. But sometimes it's the peaceable part that we have problems with. The Bible tells us with a peaceable spirit and a soft answer can rebuke the wrath. The Bible also said, blessed are the peacemakers. This is something that Christians need to work on, is to understand how it is to be peaceable, knowing, okay, I might not agree or feel comfortable with this direction that God is taking me in, but I at peace that he knows better than I do. I don't understand why he's sending me this way or having me do this, but I'm at peace knowing that his hand is guiding me. This is one thing that the wise woman knew. And we have to realize not one man stepped up. This wasn't somebody that led an army in Abel. This was a mother. This was a housewife. And she was not just taking the responsibility, but she was also showing respect to Joab and trying to show him that she respected the city. At this time, she was telling Joab things about the city. She said people from all around who had questions came here and their questions was answered because this city had the problem solver. One thing that we can learn from this wise woman is that we have the problem solver in our life. Anything that's going on, we can look to our problem solver and see that we need help with it, and he can solve that and give us the answers that we need. Not only was this wise woman responsible, not only was she peaceable, not only was she respectable, it also said this wise woman was ruthless. Joab was saying, I don't have a problem with you, and I don't have a problem with your city. It is Sheba that I must get. She knew, the wise woman knew, okay, the king has something against Sheba. In order to save this city, the order to save my family, the order to save the loved ones that I have, we must get rid of the problem that the king had. So she became ruthless by saying, we will cut off his head and throw it over the walls. The one thing we really look at and see in this parable is she didn't go to the men. She went to the other women, and they didn't get squeamish. They didn't get nervous. They didn't get anything. They got ruthless and carried on what they needed to do to make the king happy. Sometimes we have to look in our lives and realize what in our lives that the king that we serve do not like. If it's addiction, we have to learn how to cut it off and throw it over the wall. If it's problems in our relationship, we have to go to the problem solver and have him fix it, then take that problem and throw it over the wall. These are things that this wise woman showed us in this parable. Not one man stepped up, but this wise woman that God used to show everyone, men and women, with a peaceable spirit, knowing that God can do things, how things can turn out. How God gave this mother, this housewife, the strength to carry on, to cut off Sheba's head and throw it to Joab. There's times we got to look into this and understand that there's too many times that we try to rely on other people when God is saying, just rely on me and I will give you strength to get through this. As I was reading this, a lot of this reminds me of my mother. The wisdom that she carried, the responsibility that she carried on being a single mother by raising 4 kids on her own. the respect that she had and taught us to have for our elders and the people in our authority, but also the ruthlessness that she had when she declared that Satan was not going to have her family, when she declared that each kid of hers was going to grow up and be within the line of God. There is times that we need to be responsible. There's times, at all times, we need to be respectful to our authority. But there is times that we have to be ruthless too. We have to declare that Satan is no longer going to have control over us. We have to declare that if we have addictions or other problems, that we're going to cut that off and be ruthless with it and throw it over the wall. And only then is when God can say, you have made your king happy, and blow the trumpet, and the ramming that the enemy is causing in our lives will stop and cease. She said, I'm a mother of Israel. God is waiting for mothers of Israel right now to stand up and pray and fast and declare over their families that Satan is no longer welcome in their surroundings. This Mother's Day, as I look back and celebrate my wife as being the mother of my children and think back of my mother, I rejoice in knowing that, number one, they have got the same qualities as this wise woman, as being responsible. Number two, they are respectful. And number three, they are very ruthless when it comes to fighting the enemy and praying to God and casting out things that shouldn't be here. To all the kids out there, give your mom a hug, especially the one that prays over you, especially the ones that keep on training in the way you should go, that you would never depart from God. This Mother's Day, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to each and every one of you. And may God bless you and keep you.